Ryan, let me ask you, because I know you spoke very early on about how well you thought Chris Christie handled this storm politically and in every other way. But now he's going and asking for federal funding as Republicans are trying to cut spending. Is he hurting his own party?
I think whether you're a Republican governor or a Democratic governor, you're always going to want to secure money from people who are not your own taxpayers, but rather who are federal taxpayers. That's just a classic move. Now, is he undermining Republicans in Congress?
That's human nature, I guess.
Yeah, it sure is. And is it undermining Republicans in Congress? It probably is. But frankly, Chris Christie is looking out for his own political future, and it's really his only option. New Jersey is in a very tight fiscal situation, partly because they have a balanced budget requirement. They can't run deficits the way the federal government can, and this has had a huge impact on the state economy. And frankly, I think you're also going to see more situations in which Republican governors are going to be pitted against the Republicans in Congress, because those governors, for example, they want that Medicaid money to keep flowing. They want that money that's going to go to state and local governments in the form of stimulus. I don't like it. Other conservatives nationwide might not like it. But governors are in a unique position, whether you're Republican or Democrat. And that's just a basic pressure.
Please, please. Okay, can there really be one conversation where it is absolutely not so much all about politics? Here's what I mean by that. If there was a natural disaster in South Carolina, Republican governor, Texas, Republican governor, Tennessee, Republican governor, they would be doing the exact same thing. The responsibility of a governor, whether you are a Democrat or Republican, is to serve the interests of the citizens of your state, not your party. And this is part of the problem, Aaron. If you're, and not only that, those same members of Congress, guess what? The New Jersey delegation, I'm sure they are also saying, yes, Governor, do this. The same thing if it was in Florida, some other state. This is exactly what you do when you have a federal disaster. And so it's not about party. It's about the people who are hurt, who've had their homes damaged, not whether or not some politician can be able to say, oh, we don't like federal funding.
Well, Roland, you and I are saying essentially the same thing. We're saying that this is what governors are likely to do. The question is this actually a smart thing to do? And the deeper problem is when you look, well, I disagree. When you look at state governments, when they're not on the hook for the money that you're spending, they're less likely to pursue responsible policies in the first place. You look at Florida, that's a state that's actually subsidizing development in flood-prone areas. New Jersey is doing the same thing. They're rebuilding areas that are super vulnerable to these storms.
That is a separate issue.
That's very bad decision-making. And then when you expect federal taxpayers to be on the hook for that, you don't make smart planning decisions about the future.
So
these governors are covering their own butts, if you will, but they're actually doing something that's damaging the country as a whole and the fiscal future of the country as a whole.
Aaron, when fires ravaged Texas, Governor Rick Perry was highly critical because he felt the federal government should have declared those emergency areas so they can qualify for what? Federal funds. The bottom line is this here. When you have natural disasters, this frankly is natural, Democrat or Republican governors. And again, forget the party. Governor Chris Christie should not be concerned about his political future. He should not be concerned about the Republican National Committee. He should be concerned about every citizen in the state that he was elected to serve. His job, those are his constituents. That's his job.
Well, look, I see where you're coming from, but I think that we have to think about this in a broader sense, okay? If every state is looking out only for itself, what they're going to do is they're going to free ride. They're going to engage in policies that damage everyone's well-being over the long term by looking out for their own re-election prospects. So what I'm saying is that these guys are being really political rather than looking out for the long-term interests of their citizens, their states, and also the country as a whole. We need to get smarter beforehand rather than subsidize development in really dangerous areas. And when you have more, that's called moral hazard. And that's something that is really bringing the country to its knees economically.
Last I checked, you look out for yourself. I mean, whether you might say that's not a great idea.
Well,
if you're in New York,
that's not what our public servants are supposed to do, Roland.
If you're in New York, you are concerned about New York and not about California. You do focus on where you are. That's the reality.